Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Solemn tears and heartfelt tribute flow for former Deputy Finance Minister and the Ejisu MP, John Kumah, as he's laid to rest. The funeral is currently underway at Onwi, a suburb of Ejisu. Family, friends, and government officials led by the Vice President, Mahmoud Bawumia, paid their last respect. My colleague Nana Buachi Yadom is live on the ground and joins us with the very latest. Nana, what can you report from the funeral grounds?
Today happens to be the day that family, friends, and government functionaries would be paid their very last tribute to the former Deputy Finance Minister, John Kumah, who unfortunately died on March 7th, 2024. Well, today the family of the late Deputy Finance Minister, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and ministers of state, members of parliament gathered here at the Onyi Roman Catholic School Park to pay tribute to the former Deputy Finance Minister for his contribution to government activities over the years. We've heard from the Deputy Clerk of Parliament who read the tribute on behalf of the Parliament, who has also eulogized the former Deputy Finance Minister for his contributions on the floor of Parliament, especially his contribution during the passage of the controversial e-levy and other debates that the former Deputy Minister contributed to. The Vice President has called him his very good friend and has recorded some memorable moments he shared with the Deputy Finance Minister, John Kumah, when he was alive. We heard from the New Patriotic Party's General Secretary, Justin Frimpong Kodia, who has also said that the party has lost a great giant. In the Ajuso constituency, we know of the contribution the former Deputy Finance Minister has made so far for the New Patriotic Party and the Ajuso constituency at large. Well, there's been a day of solemn tears and heartfelt gratitude here at the Onyi School Park from families, friends, members of parliament, and government functionaries, many of them eulogizing the former Deputy Finance Minister, John Kumah. Well, his body has been taken away from the Onyi School Park not long ago, and it will be ushered to where he is going to receive his final rest. And we had the Vice President and other ministers joining the family as they send the former Deputy Finance Minister to where he would finally be laid to rest. I have one person here with me who has been a very, very good friend of John Kumah. Not long ago, during the MPP primaries in the Ajuso constituency, he contested but unfortunately lost. He's called Kinsman Kakari, and he has contributed also, or he has had his way with John Kumah in a way or two. I mean, today we are saying a final goodbye to John Kumah. I mean, a very sad moment. But then, how does it feel for you? What's that one memorable thing you would really miss about John Kumah?
Honorable really impacted us with knowledge and impact. The vision he has to help the youth in Ghana and us all. We believe in his ideologies. We believe in his initiatives and how he was welcoming people close to him. So now Ghana has lost a great, great giant. And per the euphoria or today per the environment, you can see that he was a great person to everyone who has been able to spend something to come here to give him his last respect to Honorable Dr. John Kumah. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
I mean, his soul will definitely rest in perfect peace. But then you, as a member of the New Patriotic Party, share a little bit of his contribution to the party when it comes to the Ajuso constituency.
All right. I am a young man, and you know by yourself how I've been contributing in the political arena. I had the courage of politics from Honorable Dr. John Kumah. He inspires us to do more. He inspires us to keep our eyes on the ball. He inspires us to aim and fire. So he has been somebody. He has contributed personally in my life by impacting my life from where I used to see myself and where, if I work hard and focus on my life, where I can get to. So this is something he has done to me, and it's mostly the people in the Ajuso constituency have had that experience or feeling.
Thank you so much. And that is Kinsman, who was a very good friend of the late Deputy Finance Minister John Kumah. Carlos, I must say that the first session of the final funeral rites happening at the Onye Roman Catholic School Park has finally come to an end. The body of the former Deputy Finance Minister, John Kumah, has been sent out of the school park to where he would have his final rest. And so government functionaries, everybody, his family, will be joining the clergy to have or to say their very last goodbye to their very close friend and the Deputy Finance Minister, John Kumah. This is the scene from the Onye School Park where we are currently having the final funeral rites observation of the late MP for the Ejoso constituency, John Kumah. Solemn tears and heartfelt tribute being shared by family, children, friends, government, members of parliament, the clergy, and everybody who joined to celebrate the life and the contribution John Kumah gave out to Ghana and the Ejoso constituency at large. Political parties from both divide, the MPP and the NDC, represented in their large numbers, and also the founder and leader of the Movement for Change, Alan Kojo Chematin, was also present here at the final funeral rites observation of the late Member of Parliament for the Ejoso constituency, John Kumah. So these are the scenes from the Onye Roman Catholic School Park. Carlos, over to you.
Thank you so much. That's my colleague Nana Buachi Yadon bringing us live pictures from the funeral grounds. From us here, Joy News, our sincere condolences to the bereaved family. But moving on, a private legal practitioner, Amanda Clinton, has expressed doubt regarding the strength of Martin Amidu's petition against Special Prosecutor Kisia Jabane. Speaking on Joy News, Joy FM's news file, Madam Clinton argued that the petition, while detailed, fails to present a compelling case for an investigation or the formation of a committee to look into it. While acknowledging the procurement issue being raised by Mr. Amidu, she believes that alone may not be sufficient to establish a prima facie case for further action.
I do think that Mr. Amidu's petition, although well laid out, does not go far enough to justify an investigation or a committee being set up, because I don't think a prima facie case necessarily exists apart from the procurement issue.
You are seeking to do the Chief Justice's work for her.
Well, okay,
She's the one to determine if there's a prima facie case.
Of course, but so perhaps we should help her this morning. For instance, let's look through his grounds and the fact that when you're looking at the Special Prosecution Act 2017, Martin Amidu can be, or the new special prosecutor can be removed for absolute misbehavior or incompetence, or conduct that brings or is likely to bring the office of the special prosecutor into disrepute or ridicule. And with the grounds laid out by Mr. Amidu, I don't think it is satisfied for a prima facie case, apart from the procurement issue, because his office is supposed to investigate procurement issues. And if he himself has committed that crime and it can be proven, then that is a potential ground for removing him. But for instance, inducing staff from sister law enforcement agencies, I don't think in the context of his office is wrong, because having worked at the Attorney General's Department myself, the drive when I was there to recruit was to recruit new and the best, and foreign, local, and people who were specialized, particularly for the international team. And this is an effort of the special prosecutor who was head of chambers or a member of chambers before, to recruit at the highest level. And at the highest level, you recruit those with knowledge from Yoko and different places. So making efforts such as that in order to ensure convictions cannot be a ground for impeachment at all. I don't think Amidu's grounds stand apart from the issue of procurement.
Now, CDD fellow John Osai-Kwapo also expressed the same sentiment, arguing the case for his removal should be more compelling. He spoke on his file.
There are other ways of remedying these infractions. It doesn't mean that removal from office can't be one of the possible remedies. But as I read through them and as you have outlined them, for me, to remove the special prosecutor from office and not to downplay some of these issues, I would think that it has to be egregious enough, right? That, everybody should be able to look at it and say, okay, as for this one, he went too far, he went overboard, he's not fit for office, this is just scandalous, etc., etc. But if there are other administrative remedies that can be used to resolve some of these things, then you don't want it to rise to this level of, let's remove him from office. That for me is my opinion, that if there are other remedies, why not resort to them? Why go first for remove him from office? And we are talking of a law that has been operational for only a couple of years. First special prosecutor leaves, second one, who knows what the outcome is going to be. For me, it doesn't also set a good precedent for the fight against corruption, and it deepens the already eroding public confidence in the fight against corruption.
The Member of Parliament for Tamale North constituency, Al-Hassan Soyini, expressed concern about the seeming bias with respect to petitions received by the president. He questions President Akufo-Addo's selective attitude towards similar petitions filed against EC Chair Jane Mensah.
The framers of the Constitution had a motive, making the president the recipient of a petition.
Because he's the appointer.
Yeah, but you see, he should be a gatekeeper of a sort, in my view. That is what I thought. But the lawyers educated us otherwise and said he was supposed to just be a conveyor belt.
Correct.
I disagreed with that commonsensically. But legally, I grant the lawyers who are trained to interpret these things.
Because he has no duty, he has no business in the process.
But even with my difficulty with the explanation that was given, the legal explanation that was given, I was expecting that on that note, any other petition that the president received would be treated the same way. That it is, you see, things must be logical, so as for not to, assume bias or assume ill motive. So if the president acted in that manner when Charlotte Osei was petitioned against, I expected that when Jane Mensah is petitioned against, I'll get the same attitude from the president. That is on record. That the president has been petitioned not once, and not by one person, but two people at least I know. Two different petitions that I know of against Madam Jane Mensah. And the president has not as much as even acknowledged the petition being sent to him. And so you begin to wonder, what makes the president act? Is it when the petition is in sync with his agenda? Or is he really a law-abiding president who has sworn by the Constitution to uphold the Constitution of Ghana? Clearly, with the two examples, the latter is the case.
Now, the University of Professional Studies Law School, Professor Kofi Abochi, said it is not inappropriate for the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokonu, to have the special prosecutor respond to allegations as there are clear procedures at dealing with such issues.
Have a petition brought against a public officer, and then you have the Chief Justice as an individual to make determination of whether she thinks that there's enough case made on the basis of which the respondent should open his defense, or he has to open a defense to the petition that has been brought. The point I'm making is the Chief Justice is not forbidden in deciding whether or not to indicate that there's a prima facie case made. She's not forbidden, in my estimation, from hearing the other side before she... It appears to be an extra mile that she's done, but the law doesn't forbid that being done.
Right.
And we can't put this in the same straitjacket that we put criminal cases in which, by the law and by the decision of Ghanaian courts, even where you have issues with the courts will still have to determine it, and the court will have to still constitute it. Remember the decision in Ekufuor and Kwashaidan, in which the matter arose as to whether the Chief Justice could empanel could put together a panel to make a determination in a matter in which the Chief Justice himself has been sued. And the court came to the conclusion that the Chief Justice in performing that mandate was performing an administrative task. It has nothing to do with his office as a judge. And so, that's the law, unfortunately, in the sense that those who have issues against it, we can only express concerns, but you can't, it's the law. The position of the law is it still remains the mandate for the judiciary to put together the administrative incidents of justice. And you cannot complain or you cannot object against it the way it is. So that's the law. But obviously there's a perception part. And that perception part is justice itself also survives on perception. In fact, the saying goes that justice must not only be done, but it must be visibly seen to be done. And so in this case, we clearly cannot also disregard the perceptual aspect of things. The fact that those who are subject to the administration of justice would have their own perceptual view of things. So I would hope and believe that steps will be taken, in empaneling and putting together a body to determine this matter. Steps will be taken to ensure that those perceptual difficulties are dealt with. The various institutions whose mandate and whose operational behavioral tendencies have involved them and the OSP in a conflict situation. All those will have to be taken into account so that perhaps the OSP has objections, and if he raises objections about the Constitution, perhaps those will have to be given serious hearings and feedback, just so we deal with the perceptual aspect. But as I indicated, the law has stated the constitution of the panel, the law has stated how the empanelment should be done, and those are the law. Nothing can be done about it.
Now, the Electoral Commission says it is impossible for them to rig the upcoming general elections as it operates an inclusive and transparent electoral process. The Commission also says it has taken practical steps to ensure erroneous figures published earlier in the ongoing limited registration does not repeat. In a direct response to the opposition NDC's allegations against it, the Commission urged them to focus on the polling stations where elections are won on election day.
General Secretary of the Opposition NDC, Fifi Kwete, at a press conference on Thursday, chronicled events including missing BVDs and errors in number of prospective voters captured in the ongoing limited registration exercise, and vowed scrutinize and reveal any endeavors by the Electoral Commission to subvert the integrity of the electoral process. The Electoral Commission, in a response, did not mince words. Addressing the press conference on Friday, Deputy Commissioner in charge of operations, Mr. Samuel Tete, described some of the allegations raised by the NDC as unfortunate. On the foremost allegation of attempt to steal the 2024 elections for the governing party, Deputy Chairman in charge of operations explained why it is impossible for the Commission to change the result of an election.
The Electoral Commission is in no position to rig the 2024 general elections for any party. The electoral process is transparent and contains all the necessary checks and participation of all stakeholders, especially the political parties, such that rigging an election in Ghana is impossible.
He explained that elections are rather won at the polling stations and urged the opposition party to channel their energies there.
If a political party has participated in all the above processes and has been able to collate results from all the 38,622 polling stations, their results should match the final results that the Electoral Commission would eventually declare. There is no loophole in the electoral process outlined above that can allow the Electoral Commission to rig the elections in favor of any party or candidate. Elections are won or lost at the polling station and not at the head office of the Electoral Commission. Parties should train their agents well to observe the process and not to blame the EC for the outcome of the elections.
On the issue of disenfranchisement of the people of SAL, Deputy Chairman in charge of operations, Mr. Samuel Tete, said the commission would have violated the law if it had allowed the people of Likpe, Lolobi, Central Kofi, and Akpafu to vote.
If 2 districts were allowed to vote for 1 MP, that would violate the law, as the MP so elected will be a member of the 2 district assemblies whose voters elected the MP. When the 1 district was created out of the Jasikan district, as per legislative instrument 2416, by the operation of law, voters in the new Gwan district could not vote for an MP in the Buem constituency who is a member of the Jasikan District Assembly. Doing so would have violated Act 936.
So far, the commission says it has registered over 300,000 prospective voters nationwide, representing some 63% of their projection.
Now, the 2024 Robotics Festival in Michigan, USA has ended in style with 4 schools from Ghana clinching various awards. Prempeh College, Right to Dream Academy, Microbot Academy, and Apam Secondary School all won awards in both the junior and senior game challenges. One of the highlights of the country, or for the country at the festival, was the 15-year-old Ejiva Pia from the Legacy Girls School in Akuse, who became the first African ever to be part of the judging panel. This is great news for Ghana's robotic future and on the continent of Africa. We are happy to have her on Zoom now. And so, congratulations to you for making the country and the continent so proud. You are the first African to be on that panel. Tell us how it all started.
Thank you very much. My robotics journey actually started in 2018, where upon taking the interest of engineering, I told my mom, "Mommy, I want to be an engineer in the future." So she signed me up for a extracurricular club, coding for kids and teens. And I remember we would have like inter-club activities, we would display our talent, but it was mostly within the Scratch programming environment. After that, I decided I wanted something a bit more challenging. I took the next step, and my mom decided to reach out to Ghana Robotics Academy Foundation, GRAF, and they had an affiliated academy, which is Microbot Academy by Engineer Michael Wilson. So I joined his club, and we would do a lot of STEM training and bio-inspired engineering, where we would take problems in the world around us and use how other biological organisms reacted to the problems and solve them to create solutions with robots.
Great. So how does this achievement make you feel, and what message do you have for young girls who want to venture into robotics?
I feel really proud of myself, and I'm especially grateful to my mom and my coaches who have helped me out a lot. My message to young girls out there is that just like how when I showed a little bit of interest, I decided to take up the mantle and do robotics, they should also do the same thing. No matter how small your interest is in robotics or anything for the matter, sign up and always keep challenging yourself, because you are your only competition. I decided to be my competition and went from competitor to coach to judge, and I'm where I am now today. So always push yourself.
All right.
That's my message.
Thank you so much for making the continent so proud. We are so grateful. And so we're looking forward to more awards from you in the front of robotics. Now, let's take you to Parliament, where the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, who concedes the situation regarding a kidney problem is worsening the plight of so many kidney patients in the country. But we'll come back and tell you more about this particular kidney situation. You're still watching the Joy Newsroom here with me, Carlos Caloni. We'll take a short break. We'll return with more. Please stay. Thank you so much for staying with us, and apologies for the earlier, there. So let's take you to Parliament, where minority is demanding an immediate reversal of an increase in the price of dialysis treatment in public hospitals. Following the passage of the fees and charges regulation, the price shot from 380 cedis to 491 Ghana cedis, with frustrated kidney patients worried they will die if this is not dealt with. Ranking member of the Health Committee, Kobina Minta Akando, tasked Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam to urgently review the regulation to save lives.
Mr. Speaker, at the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, Mr. Speaker, I was informed by the chairman of the committee that during the deliberations on the proposals, the Speaker, they then told the Ministry of Finance to go back and waive the taxes on the reagents and the medications and not to increase the cost of dialysis. The Speaker, here I see some kind of bad faith. The Speaker, at the meeting, the Ministry never raised whether they were not going to take on board the suggestions by the committee. Mr. Speaker, I am not oblivious of Article 11.7. Article 11.7, Mr. Speaker, with your permission, 11.7 ABC, with your permission, I read. Any order, rule, or regulation made by a person or authority under a power conferred by this Constitution or any other law shall, Mr. Speaker, A, be laid before Parliament. Mr. Speaker, let me go straight to C. The series come into force at the expiration of 21 sitting days after being so laid, unless Parliament, before the expiration of the 21 days, annuls the order, rule, or regulation by the vote of not less than 2/3 of all the members of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, if we really want to reject such a regulation, we need 2/3 of Parliament to be able to reject such a regulation. Mr. Speaker, I think that as a matter of urgency, I want to use this platform to call on the minister responsible for finance to come back, the Speaker, to come back to amend this particular act. The Speaker, because already the people cannot even afford the 380 or 370 Ghana cedis.
Now, Minority Chief Whip Governs Kwame Agboja insisted that if the prices are not reviewed, more people will die because they cannot afford the treatment.
We are told renal disease prevalence in our country is about 13%. And Mr. Speaker, sadly, majority of the people don't make it or survive it. It's a serious matter. My colleague is talking about the cost and sustainable ways of funding the treatment of patients. It's a simple thing. I think everybody in this house understands that we should get to a point where the country can do this. So it is not about them against us. It's about, as a house, what can we do to support government to have a situation where we can adequately take care of our compatriots who suffer this disease. It's not something that you can easily tell why anybody gets kidney disease. Mr. Speaker, we are told one of the easiest ways you can get a kidney disease is to have hypertension. If we were to say we are taking the blood pressure of everybody in this chamber, I wonder how many people's blood pressure range in this house will be within the allowable range. So if you have high blood pressure, chances are that if it persists, you can get a kidney disease. So, Mr. Speaker, maybe what we should be asking for is for you to probably encourage the relevant committee to redouble our effort in whatever way we can to make sure that these increases that have come actually at the wrong time are reversed, as our colleague said.
Now, Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodom-Precht challenged the Health Committee to rather follow up on some allocation made by the National Health Insurance Authority to subsidize the cost instead of dramatizing the problem for political gain.
And as I recall, before we passed the NHIF formula for this year, I personally engaged my colleague, and if you bear me out, we spoke extensively about the concerns on the same matter. So I was happy when the NHIS made some significant allocation, I think to the extent of 2 million Ghana cedis, to deal with the needy in terms of the offering of such services. So, however, persists. So what we should be doing as a house is to find out what we can do to deal with the problem altogether. I'm told an actuarial science has been engaged for us to find out whether there's a possibility of us moving this service to the NHI. And this discussion is being held. Thankfully, the ranking member, the proud ranking member, knows about the issues. What the committee should be doing is to pry further, get details, and inform this House for us to take a decision. Well, you can decide to come by this leg of action and raise the matter as an urgent matter, but there is more you can do as a committee. As we want to challenge the leadership of the committee, inclusive of the ranking member, that after the provision of the 2 million by the NHI, in the course of passing the formula, that dedication was made. 2 million allocated. What can be done more in this regard to resolve the problem? And for me, Speaker, that is what should be engaging our sentiments and concerns. It shouldn't just be the case of raising the matter, dramatizing the matter, and leave it there. The committee should do more and direct this House to take certain decisions in dealing with the problem. Speaker, I think that's the way to go.
But Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin, who concedes the situation is worsening the plight of so many kidney patients, directed the Subsidiary Legislation Committee, which oversaw the increase in prices, to deal with stakeholders to come to some agreement and report to Parliament.
I'm also very conversant with the topic. It's really a killer in the country, and so many people have so far been lost as a result of this cost issue. I myself lost some people because we couldn't pay for the cost. And so I even made efforts to try to get some into this country for our various hospitals as a speaker. But because of the cost, how to handle the issue of cost due to the poverty situation, it's not been easy. Now we are caught up with this because looking at the volume of the instrument, it's almost impossible for one to have been so meticulous that after a final one has been brought, you go through and ensure that all the T's and the dots have been put in place. So what I can say is to apply Order 93, Rule 6. I will direct the Subsidiary Legislation Committee just to follow up to the agencies involved and hold some discussion with them to see how some action could be taken in this matter. That's the only thing I can say. Just follow up on it. It's Subsidiary Legislation Committee, not the Health Committee. But we can't do anything now because that is the law and it's being implemented. But it's really unfortunate. The country will have to look at this seriously.
Work on the Tamale Central Hospitals project has stalled following the Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA's inability to secure a tax waiver from the government to bring in logistics and equipment for work to start. The Japanese government, through JICA, intervened to construct a new facility to augment the one constructed in 1928, which has become a death trap. But delay in securing the tax waiver has grounded the project to a halt.
The Tamale Central Hospital, now the Northern Regional Hospital, is the second largest referral hospital in the Northern region. The hospital receives between 200 and 300 patients at the outpatient department each day and conduct close to 2,000 surgeries a year. To help improve quality healthcare, JICA came in 2016 with a grant to construct a new facility for the hospital. The government of Ghana's part in the project was to demolish the old structures for work to begin. But government failed to honor their commitment, forcing hospital authorities to seek for support from elsewhere. Behind me is the site where the construction would take place. The government of Ghana was supposed to have cleared this portion before October last year for work to begin. The government failed to do that, forcing the MP for Tamale North, Alhassan Suhini, whose door was knocked on, to demolish the structures and make way for the construction. The project has hit several snags, reducing its original size to now 11 buildings. Even with what is left of the project, there are still challenges. Medical Director of the hospital, Dr. Bashiru Abdul Majid, throws light on the challenges.
The project is infrastructure improvement for the Northern Regional Hospital, which is supposed to be a grant by JICA. It was supposed to start in October last year, because of which we had to demolish some structures of the hospital, including the children's block. Unfortunately, it has not started. It's 7 months behind schedule, and we really don't know when it is going to start.
What is holding the project now?
Information we are gathering is that the JICA wants a tax waiver from government, which is not forthcoming, and that is what is holding them from starting the project.
Dr. Abdul Majid highlights how management has improvised to be able to take care of patients in the absence of the demolished structures.
We were already struggling for space before we had to demolish the children's ward to pave way for the construction. We were already struggling for space, and demolishing this children's block has really compounded the situation. The children have now been moved to the female ward. Females have been moved to male ward. Male wards are now occupying the emergency ward. And so the emergency have been shifted to our triage area, which is just a few beds. And so managing emergency has become a little difficult.
This is currently where the children's ward is being housed. The original building could contain 40 children at a time, but here they have just 26 beds. A senior nursing officer at the pediatric unit, Amidu Smiler, said they have had to deal with congestion in just a limited space.
Really hampering the quality of care you are supposed to render to the children in the ward, in the sense that we are a little bit congested. Looking at the previous ward, it was quite spacious, which could accommodate the number you mentioned earlier, that is the 40 children. But now it's 26, and the courts and the beds are being crowded, and it's affecting free movement of the care we are supposed to deliver to the kids.
Senior staff nurse at the female ward, Mabruka Inusa, said the congestion does not only pose a risk to the patient, but also takes away the privacy the patients need.
A lot. As you can see here, you see how the ward is full. You see that the ward is full. There is no privacy. And ideally, we are supposed to have a limited number in the ward. Even in the veranda, we admit patients there, which is not the best.
President Akufo-Addo has assured of the government's commitment to, in collaboration with the security agencies, bring the killers of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale to book. The late Ahmed Swale died in 2019 after he was shot multiple times while in his vehicle. No one has been charged for the crime. However, speaking at the closing ceremony of the 3rd African Media Convention in Accra, President Akufo-Addo insisted his government has not abandoned the issue and will continue to pursue the killers and bring them to book, no matter how long it takes.
The supporting of free, independent, responsible, and innovative media. We're dedicated to creating an enabling environment where media freedom flourishes alongside responsibility, and where innovation is matched by a commitment to sustainability. To the media practitioners here today, your work is not just about reporting the news or entertaining the public. It is about shaping the future of our continent and our planet. Let us strive together to enhance freedom, drive innovation, and promote environmental sustainability in our media practices. Let us ensure that the media, in all its dynamism and diversity, remains a force for good, a force for progress, and a force for change. I know that you've had a valuable and most stimulating convention, which will produce a forward-looking communique and declaration. And I'm pleased to have the honor to declare the convention formally closed. And in so doing, I assure you that Ghana's image as a beacon of democracy on the African continent will not be diminished in this election year. It will be fully safeguarded, as will the efforts of the law enforcement agencies to bring the killers of Ahmed Swale to book continue, no matter how long it takes.
Now, the Member of Parliament for North Tongue constituency, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, is petitioning the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SRAJ, to halt the proposed sale of 6 hotels by the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, to the owner of Rock City Hotel and MP for Abetifi constituency, Brian Champong. The hotels in question are Labadi Beach Hotel, La Palm Beach Hotel, Elmina Beach Resort, Ridge Royal Hotel, Busia Beach Resort, and Trust Lodge Hotel, which SNIT has 60% stakes in. But according to Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, information available to him suggests that shady steps are underway to sell these hotels to the owners of the Rock City Hotel. Okudzeto-Ablakwa is therefore requesting SRAJ to launch a full-scale impartial investigation into the proposed sale of the hotels. Let's look at the SNIT notice regarding the proposed sale of its 60% equity in Ridge Royal Hotel, dated 27th March 2024, which formed part of the reason for his petition. And there you have it. It says that SRAJ should actually launch a full-scale impartial investigation into the imminent prospective sale to Honorable Brian Champong of 60% shares of hotels within SNIT's investment portfolio, which raised fundamental concerns bordering on conflict of interest and abuse of power. That's the first relief. And the second one is that the SRAJ investigates SNIT's conduct and procurement processes regarding this matter in issue, particularly with a view to unraveling what led to the numerous violations of due process and unfair treatment. And the third relief he's seeking from SRAJ is that SRAJ investigate the appropriateness and ethical concerns of Honorable Brian Champong, who is a director and the sole beneficial owner of Rock City Hotel Limited, to be selected as the sole prospective buyer of 60% of SNIT's stake in the hotels within its investment portfolio, under the opaque circumstances by his colleagues in government who were all appointed by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And the fourth relief is that SRAJ makes a determination of the eligibility of Honorable Brian Champong to participate in this transaction, having regard to his non-compliance with Article 78.3 and 98.2 of the 1992 Constitution. And the final relief is that considering the 45-day time frame stipulated in the above-mentioned SNIT letter of 27th March 2024, which lapsed on 12 May 2024, urgent steps be taken or be undertaken by SRAJ to halt this apparent sleazy sale, which is not in the national interest. And so those are the 5 things the Honorable MP for North Tongu is asking SRAJ to do, or the actions is expected SRAJ to take. And so you're still watching the Joy Newsroom with me, Carlos Caloni. We'll take a short break. We'll return with business. Please stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, in business, Ghana's economy in post-COVID has left many scratching their heads over the friendliness of the country's business environment, which has sent some multinationals packing and some more said to follow. The new managing director of Unilever Ghana PLC, Chris Wolf-Kaiser, says the company remains committed to investment in the country despite current challenges. He disclosed this after a factory tour and interaction with the media in Tema. Correspondent Kwame Yanka has more.
Gave journalists first-hand experience into how Unilever Ghana PLC's home and personal care brands are produced. Having operated in the country for decades, the company continues to churn out these products to meet market demands. Unilever Ghana PLC's operations, like many businesses out there, are negatively impacted by the country's business environment, from erratic power supply to currency depreciation. However, Managing Director of Unilever Ghana PLC, Chris Wolf-Kaiser, says the company will continue to invest in the country despite these challenges, which must be addressed.
When you walked around, you realize that there is still investment going on in our factory. And we still talk about consumers, and we still talk about brands and products and whatnot. I think what that means is sends a signal that Unilever still sees Ghana as a good investment destination. Okay, in my first month as MD of this company, I have visited the Ghana Stock Exchange. I have visited the AGI leadership. I have visited Ghana Employers Association. I have visited, more importantly, the markets. Because the message that I want to send out very clearly is that Unilever is here to stay in Ghana. We've been here for, over 100 years? And we've never shirked away from our responsibility in playing our part in the development of the economy of Ghana.
Meanwhile, asked if the cost of production could in any way affect prices of their products, Chris Wolf-Kaiser responded in the affirmative.
The answer is yes, up to a point. And the reason why it's yes is, if you look at the economy of Ghana, there's a lot of things that we actually import inflation into this country by virtue of the way the shape of the economy is. And I guess if we need to continue to produce, because we're a manufacturing and commercial concern, not a charity, and therefore it's important not to undermine the value that shareholders have put in this business. And therefore there are times that we have to look at our entire value chain, look at the cost structure and see what we can take and what the consumer would have to pay for. Where it is related to inflation, which is not necessarily something that is caused by Unilever as a concern, obviously we will have to pass that on to the consumer.
Unilever Ghana PLC has assured consumers and shareholders of its readiness to grow, having recovered from a dip in the last few years.
That's all we have in business. We'll take a short break. We'll return with sports. Please stay with us.